Okay. Well, hi there, I'm Simon Mersip, and welcome to Crave 2020.
Wow, yes, I know. Indeed.
This is the podcast and the video cast dedicated to music and film and just about anything that's been entertaining me and the erstwhile Steve McCabe lately.
And this week, really, we're kicking off the year, in fact.
We are.
Mostly with films, to be fair, I think.
Indeed.
And appropriately enough, because today's the day that the Oscar nominations have been announced. So we'll have a very, very quick trot through that.
Yes.
Some of the films that are in the list will actually get discussed today.
Yes.
One or two that aren't in the list.
It is so.
Deservedly so. Are also going to get discussed.
Yeah. So in our list of movies we're going to talk about, first of all, the man who helmed two James Bond movies that we liked, Sam Mendes.
Yes.
He's returned with an epic piece of storytelling
Lord, yes.
in the First World War movie 1917.
Yes, we've got British filmmaker Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
No more British than Guy. Plum's familiar to territory. In fact, so familiar, I actually saw somebody commented that he's made his movie again. And he has indeed made his movie again. We'll talk about this a little bit more. It's The Gentleman.
It is The Gentleman. I would just say, I know if it is his movie, he's done it with a great deal of panache and fun.
But he always does, in my opinion, yes.
Okay.
Now, that was an awful lot of fun.
Yes.
On the other hand, I also saw Cats. But again, we'll kick that one around very shortly as well.
One of the actors who turns up in the Oscar nominations this year is Adam Driver.
Yes.
In a serious film called Marriage Story. But
yes.
He was also in a not-so-serious film called the Star Wars, The Rise of the Jedi, or The Rise of Skywalker.
If you can't remember the name of the film, that doesn't bode well for the review now, does
anyway, it's meant to be the very last ever Star Wars film.
And did we get that in writing?
No.
Okay.
No. So anyway, we'll have a quick word about that because it has been out a while.
We shall indeed.
Okay.
So let's start with what's it called? Sam Mendes, yeah?
I think we should.
Start with 1917. I mean, certainly, if we're doing these in like historical order,
yes,
then it would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So 1917, how are we even going to attempt to describe this film?
Okay, that's a good question. For those of you who did see Spectre, let's set the stage.
And you should, to be fair, because it's fantastic.
You may recall a very, very well-constructed opening sequence in Spectre, which was effectively one shot following Bond through Mexico City, on the streets, up the stairs, into a bedroom, over into the rooftops. It went on for several minutes.
Yes, it did.
It was a wonderfully constructed and thought-out piece of cinema. Well, 1917, this latest film, effectively does the same thing throughout the entire film.
So basically, it's a story told in real time, isn't it?
Yes, there's one pause in the middle, which you know is required because for the story to work, it has to take place over one day and into the next morning. So we pause for some time to elapse for that to happen. But effectively, you're with two soldiers following them through from the British side of the line. Through the trenches, over the top, through fields and farm cottages, roads and trucks and ruins and battles and rivers and more battles to the end of the film.
Yes.
And the coordination and the plan, just from the logistical point of view, to put that together, to make it work, for the actors to effectively, it feels like they're in a play. On that level alone, it's a pretty masterful piece of filmmaking, I'd suggest.
Yes, I'll spare you the details of why I've seen some of it.
Okay.
And I was struck by how claustrophobic it was when you got them. Even when they're going across no man's land, there was a feeling of tightness. But when they're in the abandoned German trenches, it was ferocious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It reminded me. You mentioned the opening sequence in Spectre. I think that's absolutely valid. But I also watched just recently on. I'm going to shamelessly name drop some trouble. It was on a flight from Stockholm to Reykjavik, as you do. As you do.
Yes.
But I watched They Shall Grow Not Old.
Okay.
Which is an extraordinary piece of filmmaking, obviously.
By Peter Jackson.
And it's also, raised the bar very slightly for First World War films, because we now know literally what it looked like.
Yeah.
We can't do any sort of romanticised, fantasised notion of it. So that was in my mind.
Yes.
As kind of like a companion piece to this almost. And
it is in many ways,
And And so as a result, I'm now going to set myself up as a critical historical viewer of 1917 and say it looked like it was authentic.
The amount of care
yes.
and time it must have taken
yes.
to plan this sequence of shots and to lay out the landscape to make it look so authentic. I don't know how long they spent doing this and getting it together, but you know, to have the trenches, there are the corpses of bodies and horses and animals strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
Various events happen in the film which are sequenced to happen just as the actors get to that spot. Now, whether that's done with a bit of CGI or not, I'm not sure. Certain rodents appear at certain times. Planes are in the sky at the opportune time.
Yeah.
A crash happens at the opportune time.
Yeah.
So, so I'm sure with the level of technology these days, there are ways of finessing that. So it all appears like it's happening right there, right now. Maybe it isn't. I don't think it matters. It feels like you are there with these two soldiers right from the start.
Well, the other films that it brought to mind, obviously, if you want a sort of terrifyingly authentic battlefield action scenes, Saving Private Ryan, or the first 30 minutes, kind of came to my mind as well. Because it captures, obviously not the horror of the D-Day landings, but the banality of, at one point, they're climbing through barbed wire. And the one character is Lance Corporal Blake, played by Dean Charles Chapman. He catches his hand on barbed wire, and he's just little banal things, inane details like that.
I thought that was the other chap.
Was it? I will happily.
I think it was. It was
the
other
Lance Corporal Schofield, played by George Mackay.
It was George. Yeah, I think it was.
No, fair enough then. But the point remains. There's just. It's the stupid little things that spoil your day, even when you're in a place like that. That just, it felt like attention was being paid to detail in the most exquisite way.
Yes. You mentioned Saving Private Ryan, and it's worth going back on that, because the actual story isn't a breakthrough story, because Saving Private Ryan was about one soldier trying to get back to his brothers, wasn't it? In this case, it's sort of a similar scenario. One of the two that you've mentioned has a brother who's in a platoon, who's on the German side. Everyone thinks the Germans have run away, but maybe they haven't. Maybe it's a trap. And so one brother is sent to help alert the other brother's unit. So that's not a shockingly different story than we might have heard in war stories before. But
in fact, the one other war story that did come to mind in that context was Gallipoli.
Where you got
an extraordinarily ill-fated mission to deliver a message in the First World War.
But that's that didn't really matter. No. This is such an immersive sort of film. It's told in such a particular way. You're so drawn into it. There is a lot of tension. Not a lot of light relief, it has to be said. A little bit here and there when they meet up with some other soldiers, but it's relentless. One thing that struck me, and I'm glad I'm sitting next to someone of British heritage.
Oh yeah.
Because it struck me, again, thinking back to Private Ryan, an American story. In this film, with all the horror that we see, these two central characters, the two young British men, maintain that stoic, stiff upper lip,
absolutely
British resolve and courage and steadfastness.
Well, the colonel told them to go.
And that in a way, it's not an the way it's played. They're not outwardly emotional.
No, they're not. No,
but that's part of it, isn't it? That's part of the story.
And that actually, in many ways, makes for a harder film. Because when you've got people who are not outwardly emotional, then basically you're just listening to two very boring blokes having a very boring conversation. and you want a little bit of grandeur and flamboyant outgoingness in your actors. You can't just have two blokes mumbling to each other about, hey mate, we're in a field here. Yeah, we are. There's lots of bullets, isn't there? Yeah, look at the bullets. That's a boring film.
Yes. So,
but these two guys, they are so utterly credible.
They are.
And as you say, immersive. You the camera literally follows them through no man's land, through trenches, through a German underground complex.
Yes.
The camera's with them all the way.
No,
and
absolutely.
I mean, there's one the tiny details, like at the very, very start, like the colonel's given this commission, very cynically picks the one bloke because it's going after his brother.
Yes.
And it's very obvious that anybody else would have said, stuff it.
Yeah.
But because it's his brother, he goes, oh, bugger, I have to.
Yeah.
And so they go marching off down the trench, and an officer going in the opposite direction yells out to them, where are you going? This is the down trench. And he goes, no. Colonel's orders. And that's it. It's like, we're following orders here. We're on a mission.
Yeah, actually, and that's another interesting part, because it does if you're not from a military family or not understanding of the culture, you do those scenes give you quite an interesting sense of how the British military structure worked. So that was quite
we are shockingly hierarchical. It's just, it's what we do. But it really shines through in this film, doesn't it?
The other thing you should note about the film is the two main young characters, the leads, are not hugely well known. One of them, the one who sorry, I don't have the script the cast list right in front of me. Not George, but the other one.
Yeah, this is Dean Charles Chapman.
Yeah, so he was in Game of Thrones.
Yes, he was.
He played one of the young Lannister lads who assumed the throne. But there are other very well-known actors.
He was Tommen Baratheon, yes.
Yes, there are other very well-known actors sprinkled through the film in quite small roles.
Yes.
Like Benedict Cumberbatch, Richard Madden, also from Game of Thrones, and one or two others as well. Andrew Scott. I
didn't recognise him to begin with. He was first of all not being particularly Irish, but then once you recognise who it was, you go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, so
did you find that jarring?
No, I didn't. But
some people apparently have found that they were too busy cameo spotting, and it took them out of the. As you say,
okay, that's interesting. Yeah, look, that's actually you know what? That's I think that's a legitimate thing to say. Mm-hmm. In a way, because the main story is told through two actors who internationally aren't so well known.
No, they're not.
That adds an element of reality to it.
Yes.
But then if you have some very well known faces popping up here and there, maybe that's an interesting point. There's something to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't overall detract from the overall worth of the film, I don't think. But it's highly recommended, even if. It's a film, not everyone's into war films, but it treats its subject matter with such respect and accuracy from what we can gather, that it's really worth seeing as a piece of cinema.
Yeah, well, it's been nominated for Best Picture and Best Director, but surprisingly, not Best Editing. Because there's no way in the world that's one single take.
No.
Right? I don't think you can get a memory stick big enough to fit that entire scene on it. So there's no way in the world that's one single take. The editing is utterly seamless.
It is.
Because it is, to all intents and purposes, one single shot.
That is actually that's an interesting point. I mean, it should be win an Oscar for best camera work.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, such Oscar does exist as best cinematography.
Yeah,
and no, I don't know it's up for that either. Like I say, Sam Mendes is up for best director.
Yes.
And it's up for best original screenplay as well. Yeah. And it is up for best cinematography.
Well, rightly so.
Right, you can have it for that one then. Yeah.
Anyway, so look, it hasn't been out that long. It's really worth seeing. It probably could well do well at the Oscars, but even if it doesn't, go see 1917.
Absolutely, it's a quite outrageously brilliant film.
So look, Sam Mendes is British, and so is Guy Ritchie.
Oh, it is none more so, sir.
No,
more so.
We've both seen his latest. It's called The Gentlemen.
Yes.
Apparently, generally, it hasn't had a lot of reviewers jumping for joy.
No.
But I have to say, my expectations were slightly lowered.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it a lot. I found it immensely entertaining.
Right.
Maybe it's that British crime caper, right, lads, and a bit of humour and a little bit of skullduggery and all that.
Bit of ducking, bit of diving, bit of dodging,
bit
of weaving.
I think it's done with a lot of panache.
Oh yeah.
Style, humour. For me, some of his touches make me think of Tarantino. Some of his visual touches and his loving of getting to dialogue between characters. And
I've often thought that he basically kind of wishes he could be the Tarantino of London.
Right.
That's in there definitely, isn't it? You can see that. But you mentioned the visual. Well, actually, you know what? Before we get into that, I've got a challenge for you.
I'll go on. Oh, here we go. Yes.
Plot synopsis.
Oh, okay. Oh no! Are you going to ask me that? Right. So Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
Has an American who's got himself at an early age, comes to the UK, and sets himself up as the kingpin of a marijuana empire,
a
massive growing and distribution empire,
worth, it turns out, in the hundreds of millions.
Right. And he, in his middle age, decides, I love my wife, I want to spend more time with my family, I'd like to get out, but I want to sell my business. And he has a buyer in mind.
Yes.
But the deal goes awry because that buyer, an American whose name off the top of my head I can't quite remember, but he tries to scupper the deal or lower the price with some skullduggery.
Yes.
And then we have other competing interests, criminal interests, trying to get in on it as well.
Of course.
So it's Matthew McConaughey and his band of, and particularly Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, yeah.
Hunnam, who's his left-hand man, right-hand man, or left.
Yeah.
Who are
we're flexible.
We're fending off the
yes.
the intricacies of what's the rival bids, and the key to the telling of the story
yes.
is the role played wonderfully well.
Oh God, yes.
My word, by Hugh Grant. He plays Fletcher, isn't it?
Fletcher, yeah.
He plays a journalist, a muckraking tabloid journalist who's trying to find a way to say to Charlie and Matthew, "I need a cut because I can protect you from the takeovers." That's kind of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And Hugh Grant. No, it's wrong to say he carries the film. That would be, but he.
I don't know.
He is a delight to watch.
He is. I mean, the framing device, which is actually really useful because it's ferociously complex.
Yeah.
And so he's basically presenting this. He's pitching it as a screenplay to Charlie Hunnam's character, who was called Ray. That's right. Yeah. So he's pitching it to Ray as a screenplay.
Yes.
Which means he's basically telling the story to Ray and getting Ray to give any corrections. He's like, no, that's not how it worked out. And so he's no longer lovable foppish Hugh Grant from Four Weddings or Notting Hill. He has reinvented himself over the last several years.
Yes, he has.
I mean, there was a program just recently. You might not have seen this about a big British political scandal of the 70s and 80s, a very English scandal.
Thorpe? Was it?
The very fellow, Jeremy Thorpe.
Jeremy Thorpe. And he played Thorpe. It was a gay...
he was the leader of the Liberal Party,
yes.
Who was, in a time when homosexuality was barely legal, actually was becoming legal, but was still extraordinarily frowned upon and highly blackmailable.
Right.
And he was getting blackmailed, and there was suggestions that he may have attempted to have the blackmailer permanently silenced.
Okay.
And that's when you got these first glimpses of him no longer being as foppish as once he was.
No.
And you could tell he was sort of starting to enjoy this little bit of an edge to his character.
Yeah.
And so he leans into Ray.
Yes, who he fancies.
Oh, yeah. He fancies himself Sammy Rotten in this, doesn't
he? But he fancies Ray as well, doesn't he?
Well, no, he is Ray. Fletcher, yeah.
Fletcher fancies Ray.
Well, yeah, because he's very slightly camp.
Yes.
But not
effeminately so, but...
No, not absurdly so, but he dresses him as darling.
Yeah.
A lot. And he's brilliant.
Yeah.
You can tell he's having more fun than anybody else in this film. They're all having a decent amount of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the cast is worth mentioning a few others. Michelle Dockery.
Yeah, of Downton Abbey fame.
Yes. No longer Lady Mary.
No.
She's got that wonderful lisping Essex thing going on.
Yeah.
She's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
She's foul. She's absolutely brilliant. Charlie Hunnam's accent is better travelled than I've been recently.
Okay.
It goes up. I mean, he's from Newcastle.
Okay.
And his accent is variously from Scotland, from Ireland, possibly American at some words in some sentences. He's impossible to nail down.
Oh, well.
He's all over the place. You've got Henry Golding as Dry Eye.
Yes. I'd previously seen him in the Asia
Crazy Rich
Asians. It's a romantic lead, and he's far from that here.
Oh, he's nasty in this.
Yeah.
Who else was particularly standoutish in this? There were others. Colin Farrell,
who plays Coach.
Yes.
He laps up that role as well, doesn't he?
He does
just
indeed,
as much gusto as Hugh Grant in many ways.
And there's the one character, or the one actor who I thought was the most disappointing of all was the one that you couldn't even remember the name of. The other American who's interested in buying the drug empire. The character's name is Matthew. He's played by a fellow named Jeremy Strong.
Okay.
And he was in Succession. which you're probably aware of.
I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
Huge hit in the last couple of years on I think it was on HBO, wasn't it? Where he played the son and presumptive heir of Brian Cox's media mogul, and in that he was
that the Rupert Maxwell story?
Robert Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell.
They're interchangeable. Those yes,
okay.
Essentially.
Yes.
Officially, no.
Okay.
But the points of contact were real.
Okay.
And he played Kendall Roy almost as a slightly Donald Trump Jr.-ish kind of character. He was extremely good in that as a kind of on the back foot. Reacting to what abusive father did. He played that character beautifully. He wasn't strong enough in this, I didn't think. He was a little bit...
Yeah, a bit foppish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's meant to be, I guess, but yeah, I'd agree with you on that. But then they bring these other... there are lots of characters in the film. The coach has his lads from the gym who are wonderful. The toddlers who kind of like do various not-so-legal jobs for him.
Yes.
And I actually quite liked... was it Uncle George,
Lord George,
Dry Eyes' uncle or father.
Yeah,
it was a small role, but it was good.
It was fantastic. I mean, I just really enjoyed this film.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of. Yes, it's a violent crime caper, but there's a lot of a huge amount of comedy in it. There were times when people were just laughing out loud,
including one bit where a bloke gets run over by a train.
Yeah.
That you actually do laugh out loud.
You do, I know, it's true.
It's a guilty pleasure, to be fair. But,
true. So, yeah, you may have some views about Guy Ritchie, but this is really well put together. It's fun, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's really worth looking. I just want to say very quickly,
go ahead.
Both the Guy Ritchie film and the Sam Mendes 1917 film, I think, were hugely, this is just my view, hugely let down by the trailers. The trailer to The Gentleman focused on the violence and the mostly the violence and the action.
Yeah.
And I think neglected the humour.
Because the body count was actually surprisingly low.
Yeah, it wasn't huge. No, it's more of the intrigue and the threats and
the extraordinarily sharp dialogue.
Oh, great dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think 1917 also the trailer. I suppose you can't in a trailer show one long shot, but you might have thought looking at the trailer that it was just a typical war movie.
Yeah.
But it was much more than that. So yeah, a bit disappointing on both counts. So it's just a minor point, but it did strike me that here were two trailers which perhaps relied on traditional selling techniques, the action and the violence. They kind of missed the trick of what the real worth of those two films were.
And yet, oddly enough, you can actually sum up the entire of The Gentleman. And incidentally, it originally wasn't going to be called The Gentleman.
Okay.
It was originally going to be called Bush.
Right.
That was the original title. I suspect that possibly that might have had other connotations.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, The Gentleman, even as a title, does not do it. It doesn't even make sense, really.
No, it doesn't. You're right. Yes, it doesn't. I guess it's trying to somehow refer to the code of conduct of the underworld as the mafia had, but I think there could have possibly been a better
but there is a moment right at the very start where there is one brief, I mean, it's one of those tiny little details that I really liked. Just going back incidentally to what you said about Guy Ritchie's visual tics. Do you remember Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels?
Mm-hmm. Long time ago now, but yes.
It was about 20-some years ago. Yes. But it had all that incredible slow motion stuff where people like falling past each other, the fight sequences. There was virtually none of that. He's really dialed that back, and it doesn't get in the way so much anymore. He just gets going with telling the story. But what it does have is, at the very start, Matthew McConaughey walks into a pub.
Yes.
And he orders a pint and a pickled egg.
Pickled egg.
And they do a close-up of the barman pulling the pint.
Yes.
And so, you've been in an English pub, you know, where you've got the big handle for with the beer, and there's usually a little placard on the front of it, right, with identifying what the beer is.
Right.
And it actually says on that, as he starts pulling it, the name of the beer is Ritchie's English Law.
Ritchie's
English Law.
Okay.
And basically saying that's what this film is going to be.
Right.
This is a traditional English story as told by Guy Ritchie. And that right there sort of sets out where the entire film is going to be. And all you need to do for the entire film, put that on the poster. And as I've said to you many times in the past, if you like that kind of thing,
yeah, that's right.
You're going to like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you really
that's
are.
true.
And you're right. He's not for everyone. And if you like Guy Ritchie's film,
yeah, well, this would be a good one.
He's made it again, hasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's made it very, very well.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, now, we must now just get you to talk about a film that has had so many puns associated with its reviews. I don't know where to start, but I shall graciously hand over to you, Mr. McCabe.
To me? How?
To talk about cats.
Right. Well, I need to start off with background here.
Yes.
Right, bit of background, okay?
Yep.
I am an Andrew Lloyd Webber fan.
Okay.
In fact, specifically, I am a fan of early Lloyd Webber.
Right.
I mean, I will argue with you which is the best version of Jesus Christ Superstar, and the correct answer is the original recording with Ian Gillan.
That is the correct answer. I grew up with that record.
It's phenomenal, isn't
and
it?
I still remember the lyrics to it to this day. We could burst into song right now.
I know, that's how good he can be.
My mind is clearer now.
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry.
At last,
Anyway.
all too well I can see. And so,
that's
kind of how I felt. Yeah, try not to get worried. So,
okay, yes.
So, we could do this all day. I mean, I actually had the original cast recording vinyl double record of Cats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I actually quite liked it.
Yeah.
There's some fantastic music in it.
Okay.
It's probably his last good show. I mean, Starlight Express, no interest. Phantom of the Opera, please. But Cats had some magic in it.
Okay.
And I finally got to see the stage play.
Oh, you did? Okay.
In Auckland about 4 years ago.
Right.
Actually, yeah, it was. I remember when it was because oddly enough, Len Brown, the ex-mayor of Auckland, nearly killed my mother-in-law on the way out. That's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But seriously,
okay.
But in that version of it, it's kind of interesting that they have performers on stage who are on stage. You can't really see them too closely.
Yeah.
Right, and that's relevant here. And they're dressed in leotards. They've got cat colours painted on them, and they move in this gloriously sinewy way, the way that only cats can. And if you're watching the video, you can see me trying to imitate it. If you're watching the podcast, you can only imagine how cackly I'm being right now, right? But it works.
Okay.
It's a bit overlong, and when you realise that it's been out for an hour and a half, and you've only seen the interval right now, and you bloody hell, there's another hour of this to go yet. But it's kind of clever, and it's very, very tight. And so originally, apparently, this was going to be about 15 years ago. This was going to be an animation.
Okay.
In fact, so long is the story of this that when I saw 6 Degrees of Separation recently, and that was from the late 80s, early 90s. And one of the running gags in that is that the one fella's father is going to be producing a movie of Cats, and he can get the other characters' bit roles in it. So this film has been kind of like on the back burner for many years, and it should have stayed there.
Right.
It really should, because what you've now got is, instead of simply a load of songs about cats, they've written a story. And that's always a bad movie and things like this. But suddenly, there's a plot. So there's reference in the original things to cats going to the Heaviside Layer.
Right.
As one Jellicle cat is reborn in the Heaviside Layer. And it's mentioned in passing, and it doesn't really go anywhere. Suddenly, there's this huge plot now that one of the cats, played by Idris Elba, will, by hook or by crook, be the one that's chosen to go to the Heaviside Layer. And there's a story in it now. And you've got Ray Winston playing Growl Tiger as one of his henchmen, for example. So right there, that ruins a large part of it. That takes it away from what it's meant to be. You've got close-ups on the individuals. So suddenly you're focusing on people's faces. These are suddenly people. They're not cats any longer. These are people.
Yes, well-known people.
James Corden.
Yeah. Judi
Dench. Jennifer Hudson. Jason Derulo, Taylor Swift, Rebel Wilson, Ian bloody McKellen.
Oh, really? I didn't.
He needs a word with his agent so desperately, and so these are people that you could recognise. They're recognisable faces and everything, right?
Yeah.
And they're not doing the painted leotard things any longer. They're wearing fursuits.
Yeah, so that's all CGI stuff till the cats come home. Till the cats come home. Oh.
As far as I'm perfect. Yes. But,
sorry.
No,
that was unintentional.
I'm not going to get catty about it.
No.
I don't know if it's CGI or not. I don't know if it's makeup, but the way it looks is, instead of like just a representation of cats, they look human.
Yeah.
In a disturbing way. Like Taylor Swift clearly has a rather impressive bust.
Okay.
Which cats don't have.
No.
No. In fact, they actually, I mean, to be absolutely blunt about this, and I'm not saying this in any kind of like, I approve of this, but actually the way that the fur shading goes, it looked like she's got furry nipples.
Okay.
It's creepy.
Yes.
It's not nice. It's not even like erotic. It's just weird.
Odd.
Cats with arses.
Yeah.
Human arses.
Yeah.
Is weird. And they don't look like cats. They don't move like cats. They move like human ballet dancers.
Right.
And they look like hairy, naked people.
Mm.
And it's not in a good way. Mm. It's creepy.
So, and that raises the question: what are the makers of the film asking the audience to believe here?
I genuinely don't know.
What are we trying to say to the audience about what the story we're telling?
That's a really important question to ask, and I don't think anyone ever really satisfactorily thought that one through.
Yeah, but, I mean, in a way, maybe you can't blame the actors. They're not going to know till later on, after all the effects have put on, what it's going to look like. But yeah, oh well.
I mean, James Corden, Rebel Wilson, Judi Dench, Ian McKellen. Mm. What word would you use to describe their trade?
Their trade?
Yes. What do they do for a living?
Well, they act. Well, Corden is a talk show host, but yes.
They're actors, right?
Yes.
So what the hell are they doing in a musical? They're not singers.
No.
Corden kind of pulls it off.
Yeah.
Wilson sings, frankly, like she's straining as a rather awkward shit. Judi Dench, seriously, I mean, Judi Dench basically talks her way through her songs.
Right.
This is probably the smartest move of all.
Yeah.
And Ian McKellen, seriously, I all I can think is there must have been pharmaceuticals involved. I don't know what he had in mind for that role. Seriously, it's a mess. Mercifully, it's only a short part at the end.
Yeah.
At which point you just don't care anymore.
No.
It's weird. Nothing about it works.
Yeah.
There's the great big song. There was a big hit when it came out. It was Memory.
Of course, yes.
Midnight, And
who sings it in the film?
Jennifer Hudson.
Okay.
She does it in 2 installments. The first bit is just her, and the second bit she does a little bit of a duet with a new character who was never in T.S. Eliot's original poems, was never in Richard Stilgoe's original libretto, a character called Victoria, played by, as it says in the credits, introducing Francesca Hudson, and also, frankly, burying and destroying the burgeoning career of Francesca Hudson, because she's really nice. She's sweet, she's really pretty, she's got a delicate, soft voice, doesn't really have much else to do, to be fair. But Jennifer Hudson gets the big, huge, enormous, because there is a bit in the original version of Memory where suddenly the emotional swell comes, and when Elaine Page delivers that one line, "Touch me, it's so easy to," it's like an emotional gut punch.
Yeah,
she does it brilliantly. Except in this version, Jennifer Hudson has already wrung out every last possible drop of emotion that can be found in this song. There's nothing left.
Right.
She's got nowhere left to go. She's already dialed it up to about 17.
Yes.
And then she pauses. The strings start to swirl. The background rises and rises and rises. The crescendo comes, and then she hits that huge note. She's crying, and I was actually laughing. Because it was just so utterly overwrought.
Yes, that's once you cross that line, you've really lost people, I think.
Yeah. It was just so overdone.
What a shame. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
in the end, there was nothing to recommend it. Even like you can criticize it on so many levels, like the semiotics of the clothing, right? Ian McKellen wears a coat,
right?
You can see he's got like patterns on it, right? Judi Dench is wearing a fur coat,
right?
Now, what fur would that be?
Yeah, what fur coat would a cat wear?
What animal would the coat? Yeah, exactly. It's kind of bizarre, really.
Yeah.
Rebel Wilson has got a collar on. Her cat's wearing a collar.
Yes.
With what like a little Coke ring pull type tab here. At one point in the middle of her song, she suddenly pulls it up, unzips it, so and then removes her cat fur, and she's wearing like a cabaret outfit.
Okay.
The kind of thing that you'd have seen, what's her name, Liza Minnelli wearing in Cabaret.
Yes.
That kind of outfit underneath it. So then, are these costumes that the cats are wearing?
Yes.
The whole thing, just nothing about it works. Nothing. Taylor Swift is very, very good. She's a singer and dancer.
Yes.
Francesca Howard is... Sadly, this will be the one film she ever gets to make, probably, because it's going to bury her career, which is a shame because she's probably got a lot of talent. James Corden, oddly enough, actually isn't too bad because he kind of sort of blunders his way through. His character, Buster Jones in white spats, and he's the St. James's Street cat, and he's kind of adorable with it, but it's more by good luck than... Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's just... There is nothing, with the possible exception of Taylor Swift for a couple of minutes when she's trying to be English.
Right.
And not doing too badly, but we know how she feels about the English. But apart from that, it's awful.
Right. Well, perhaps the telling sign is that by the time this got to New Zealand, I think we were already realising it had got bad press.
Bad press?
To put it mildly. And it didn't stay here for long.
It got a savaging.
Yeah.
And it was widely deserved.
Yeah. Okay.
It was appalling. Seriously.
Okay.
So, speaking of highly hyped films...
Yes.
You've been to see a Star Wars. Yes,
and I will just leave this towards the end because it's been out for a while now.
Yes.
The last Star Wars film. It's worth mentioning because it is apparently the last Star Wars film. They went back from 1977, I think was the first.
Yeah.
9 films over, 40-something years.
Yes, in 3 clumps.
In 3 clumps. I personally have never been a huge Star Wars fan, but I know that obviously there are millions of people around the world who have been.
Oh, very much so, yes.
I think probably for them, this was a pretty satisfactory conclusion.
Right.
It does make a particular effort to draw in some of the strands and the characters from the films, particularly the first 3, the ones that we all got to know back in the 70s. I thought the film, the last film, the middle film dragged and was very slow. It was bogged down by a lot of dialogue. This one has a lot of pace.
Okay.
It moves along quite well. The special effects are as good as you'd expect.
Of course.
It combines the humor and the action, and it's. I sat there thinking, I'm not hugely invested in this, but I think it's probably doing a pretty good job. One thing that annoyed me was it picked up on a little thread from the first of these last lot of films. This is the J.J. Abrams directed films, that Finn, the young black who was a former stormtrooper, has turned into a good guy.
Yes.
Feels something for Rey, the female sort of main protagonist. And it's just there in the first 2 films. And the filmmakers in this final film, at one point it seems like they're really going to develop this.
Okay.
And then they leave it hanging. Completely in a way that I didn't find satisfactory at all.
However, I've not seen the film myself yet. I plan to watch it, but I seem to recall hearing something about how Rey might not ever have any particular interest in gentlemen anyway. Or have I misread that?
I think that's I don't think there's anything overt about that.
Yeah.
But I think you could begin to form that sense of the character as you go along. Yes.
And I get the feeling an awful lot of people have lost a lot of sleep over it as well.
Okay. I mean, it's not it wasn't a big issue for me, but it did niggle a little bit. You weren't quite sure what was happening with some of the relationships.
Right.
It was a little bit frustrating. It would have been nice if you're going to wrap it all up.
Yeah.
And maybe this is why. Maybe they'll make another one. Maybe they'll try and resolve these things. I don't know. But I should just mention. I talked about the special effects. One quick thing. There's a wonderfully constructed scene of a battle amongst waves crashing over rocks with the main characters jumping around. That was visually a really, really strong part of it. And we're mentioning this partly because it's the last Star Wars film, but also because it does feature Adam Driver playing Kylo Ren, the bad guy of the first 2 films. I think we can say this now because it's pretty much nearly finished its run. His character undergoes a bit of a shift in perspective in this last film. They also notably used some leftover footage of Carrie Fisher, to incorporate her back into the story.
Oh, good.
And with with good emotional impact.
Yes.
And another character, well-known, loved character from the 1970s, who we thought was killed off, or in fact was killed off in the first film. One Harrison Ford, I have to mention. There's a sort of a reappearance there, which was very touching.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you're a fan, you'll love it.
Yeah.
If you're not a fan, it's still an entertaining bit of a ride in that sort of universe. And
I have to say, in the past, people have tried to make out that this is, how can I word this correctly? I want to make sure I get this right. That certain people who are, how should we say, the kind of people who typically watch science fiction films,
right? Yes,
tend to be stereotypically pimply young men who live in the basements.
Okay,
and were very resentful of the fact that there might be suggestions that possibly a female character might have some form of agency in a film.
Oh.
And so get very, very bent out of shape when you mention the fact that not only was Princess Leia not simply a damsel in distress,
yes,
but actually ends up rescuing Luke and Han at one point, in a complete inversion of what she's been made out to be. So in that regard, first of all, it's fantastic to see Leia back in this, and secondly, what are we making of Daisy Ridley as Rey?
She plays a real hero's role, quite chin out, taking all the hits. This isn't some sort of girly role or anything. This is a strong woman, young woman. There's some gutsy, determined, a real fighter. She's a real. I wasn't really thinking about the fact that it was she's a female, but
no, what you mean. Yeah,
the fact that could be a female in that role, I think we've moved on.
She's allowed to just get on with being a good character.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And I'll go back to Adam Driver, because I remember in the first of the new bunch of films, he plays Kylo Ren.
Yes,
and I just thought he was a whiny emo teenager, and you can imagine like stomping off to his room going, you don't let me lightsaber anyone. And he was just whiny.
Yes.
So please tell me he's better than that, because
I think he definitely is.
I'm not a big Adam Driver fan to begin with.
Yeah, I remember we've had this discussion before. Look, I was watching him, knowing he's since the series began, he's done some pretty good. Been in some good films.
Yes.
And he's Oscar nominated in one of. Yes, he is.
In Marriage Story,
In Marriage Story. So, no, I think his performance was a better, stronger, more nuanced performance. The story required it to be.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that was central to the story working. Yeah. I don't quite share your negative views of Mr. Driver, but anyway,
my lack of faith is disturbing.
Ooh. All right. So
speaking of Oscar noms,
yes,
we're doing this, aren't we?
Well, we should be upfront and say a number of not all of these films have been released in New Zealand yet.
No,
and so we're not familiar with every category, and we're not going to go through every single one. No, we'll be here till the cows come home.
But we'll do the headline one. So first of all, Best Picture. I mean, I think there's one obvious choice in there.
Let's quickly run through them.
Okay, if you want to.
Ford versus Ferrari. Yep. The Irishman. Jojo Rabbit, interestingly, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Parasite I haven't seen, but Little Women I haven't seen, but most of the others we're pretty familiar with.
Yes. So there's a few interesting things in here. Parasite is actually a Korean language film.
Right.
It's not in English, which is somewhat unusual.
Yep.
In fact, when he won, I forget which of the Golden Globes, and the director Bong Joon-ho did point out that if you just get over the tiny hurdle of the bottom inch of the screen, you get to see great films.
Yes.
So it is good to see non-English, non-Western films in there. The Irishman is a Netflix film, which most of us saw on Netflix, and yet that's in there because it did actually make it into just enough cinemas for just enough showings that it can shoehorn its way into.
Well, Marriage Story is also a Netflix film.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yes, we've got the same deal there.
Yep.
Also, The Two Popes.
Yeah.
Which is not in the Best Picture noms, but it is in Best Actor. So, of those 9, What do you like?
Well, I'm slightly influenced by the film I've seen most recently, which is 1917.
Yeah.
In terms of its visual impact, that is astounding.
Yes.
In terms of a film that stayed with me, I have to say Jojo Rabbit I still think back on because of the odd and bizarre combination of emotional drama and madcap comedy. The Irishman is a slow burn.
Yes.
It's compelling, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
No.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino, I enjoyed it very much. I don't know. I mean, if you ask me what I would like or what I think the Oscar voters would like, I would probably tend to. Oh, just because I'm influenced by the last thing I've seen, 1917. I'd say 1917.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I remember when Dunkirk came out.
Yes.
And I walked out of the cinema saying, I just saw the best picture.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and it shows how little I know.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that the same thing could be true of 1917.
Could well be true.
It's got a massive impact, but I don't know it's going to play well that way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I don't think it's going to be Joker because he's been too controversial. I'd love to see Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Jojo Rabbit could turn out to be the safest because there's been controversial choices in the last few years. But I'll tell you where I think he's going to win it.
Yeah.
Little Women.
Okay, and I have to confess I haven't seen it, but
Not yet,
I
just have a feeling that's just not out of any sense of snark whatsoever. I've not seen it, so I don't know if it's deserving or not. I'm not basing my judgment on that. I just have a feeling that
they have a liking for those historical tales.
Yeah, just the politics of the way these things tend to play out. That might be it.
Yeah,
I will be seeing it very shortly.
I haven't yet. Although it's on Netflix, I haven't yet seen Marriage Story, but
me neither.
But it is meant to be very good.
Well, yes, absolutely. Now, Best Actress is going to be really difficult for you and me to call because Harriet, Bombshell, and Judy have yet to open in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And neither have actually seen Marriage Story or Little Women. But look at
they're all. Yeah.
I mean, basically, anytime you see the name Saoirse Ronan, you think, well, there you go. Kind of game
she's
over
very,
there,
very, very good.
I do want to see Harriet.
Right.
That looks fascinating. Interestingly, just like Judy, it's based on the life of a real person.
Now, just remind me.
Harriet Tubman.
Okay.
American woman who was a slave and then became part of the emancipation movement. So.
Well, the Oscar voters have a liking for those stories.
Well,
12 Years a Slave and the like.
And certainly, if we're taking the story into account as well, then that's got to be a massive contender. Very, very definitely. Best Actor?
Well, that's an interesting one. You've got Antonio Banderas in Pain and Glory, which I haven't seen. Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes. Adam Driver, I've seen. Joaquin Phoenix and Jonathan Pryce. Gosh.
I mean, to be fair, Jonathan Pryce isn't really acting there. I mean, he looks so much like Pope Francis. I think he deserves a nod for that.
I haven't seen Antonio Banderas, but I think he's done. I think he's picked up some other awards already for that role. So I don't. Leonardo DiCaprio. I'd be surprised if they give it to him.
Although he is very good in that.
Is he? Yeah. I know he is. He is very good. But I think the interesting one. I don't know if he'd get it, and he's got a checkered sort of reputation, but Joaquin Phoenix's role, I'd be quite pleasantly surprised if he got it. I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he will. No, but I think it's overdone. It's overwrought. There's not much nuance in that performance. Not a huge amount.
So, what do you think then?
I will call Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
I've not seen it. I just have a feeling.
Yeah,
I just based kind of on the way what's it look like in the past? I'm sneaking suspicion. Best supporting actress. Again, we've got the problem. We've not seen two.
So we've both seen Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit. I thought she was very good, but I'm really going to have to say I can't call that.
No, but again, definitely a supporting role in that.
Yeah.
Again, best supporting actor. We've not seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, but Tom Hanks. Anytime you see his name in there, then you have to figure he's a good contender. Brad Pitt is not a name you often see in Oscar noms.
No, he got the Golden Globe, didn't he, for
did.
Best Supporting Actor?
He did Best Abs as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I enjoyed his work in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and whether I don't think it shouldn't be Al Pacino because he was just being Al Pacino.
Oh, wasn't he just?
But
yes.
Joe Pesci, I enjoyed Joe Pesci's role.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm afraid I haven't seen Anthony Hopkins or Tom Hanks, so
no,
hard to say. And
then Best Director.
Oh well, they're all good. We've got Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for Joker, Sam Mendes for 1917, Quentin Tarantino, and as the man you just mentioned, Boon Joon-ho for Parasite.
Yeah. Now, I've seen 1, 2, 3 and a half of those. Not seen Parasite, but I do want to see it.
Yes.
I was very, very, very impressed in terms of the direction of 1917. Like you were saying before, the structuring of it, the choreography of it, the work that must have gone into setting up all the shots that then seamlessly blended into one. That is a level of technical expertise.
And craft.
Yes, exactly. And vision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I mean, I would go for him. I'd go for Sam. Not having seen one of them though. But yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Any comments we make here are
a little bit
deeply flawed.
Never mind.
So given that we are likely to be wrong on most of these, we do have the cop out of we're not seeing this. So
it's always a good discussion though.
It is indeed. And also, I'm kind of gratified to notice in the best original screenplay, Knives Out is in there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because that was fantastic.
And it's just quickly worth mentioning that Taika Waititi is in there in the best adapted screenplay for Jojo Rabbit.
And we'd love to see him.
Wouldn't that be something? Wow.
It would. You could have a Kiwi there somewhere. You've got to. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. Now shall we just move on and wrap up this wide sweeping broadcast?
Absolutely.
Podcast is not really a broadcast, but you know what I mean. Look, it's the time of year here. It's our summer when a lot of the summer festivals are here or not far away. What have we got to look forward to in the next little while, Steve?
Well, actually, oddly enough, it's been this sort of Christmas hiatus.
Yeah.
And let's face it, New Zealand won't really wake up again until sometime in mid-March. No, seriously. I remember a couple of years ago, my friend Suzanne telling me that her office New Year's of welcome back party at the office was actually scheduled for late February.
Yeah.
Yes. There's no point trying to pretend that there's anything different. We don't judge.
No.
Actually, we do a little bit, but But the truth is, there's not been a huge amount of announcement going on.
No, okay.
But there's a couple of decent sized names. Russell Brand is coming back.
Oh, okay. He's been here a bit, hasn't he?
He has. I saw him here about 4 years ago. He was fairly good. He's very
fairly good.
Well, no, and I know, damning with faint praise. I know, but he gave every indication of being about to make some sort of incredibly profound political comment. And he said, and basically his entire shtick was, okay, I'm going to tell you how the world is going to change, but first let me crack a gag. And he constantly kept cracking the gags and never got to the incredible political insight, which was a bit frustrating. Because you get teeing it up as being, listen to me and we'll solve all the world's ills. But on the way, he was extraordinarily funny.
Right.
He was genuinely funny. So he's coming back and he's doing, interestingly, I saw him last time he was here at, I think it was called Vector Arena back then.
Yeah, okay.
But he's set his sights a bit lower this time. He's at the Bruce Mason Centre in Auckland. And that's going to be Saturday the 14th of March. Mm-hmm. Worth seeing though. Then Tuesday the 17th of March, Isaac Theatre Royal in Christchurch, and 19th of March is a Thursday, Opera House in Wellington. Definitely worth a look. He is funny. Don't expect actual answers to the questions he raises. He is simply a provocateur.
Right.
But he's a very funny one.
Okay.
He really is. So far up himself, it's incredible. And the man looks good in leather trousers. But aside from that, he does actually, to be fair. I could never manage them. Now, do you remember the name Mika?
I remember the name Mika.
Yeah.
That goes back quite a long way, if I'm thinking of the right artist. Maybe like decades. Am I thinking of that?
Yeah. He had a big hit called Grace Kelly.
Okay.
And this would be about about 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
About 15 years ago. And at the time, he was being mooted as a possible alternative to, a replacement to Freddie Mercury.
Oh, okay.
In Queen.
Okay, right.
Because there's even one bit in that song where he says, I could try a little Freddie. And he actually sounds like he's going to go full Freddie Mercury in it. And there were a few good songs on that album, and he never really, truly followed up that first album. But apparently he's just released his 5th.
Oh, okay.
My Name is Michael Holbrook. Okay. Described by Billboard as his boldest record yet. Now, on the strength of that first album, I think he'd be worth seeing, quite frankly. And he's going to be in Auckland on the 22nd of February at the Town Hall. And I think that will be worth a look. I have a feeling he's going to be a very, very good performer. Now, after that, he goes across to the Burning Island, and we won't talk about that any longer. But, but certainly in Auckland, I think it's going to be worth a look. So that's going to be, like I say, Town Hall in Auckland on Saturday the 22nd of February. And
yes,
we have one other thing to mention. We mentioned last time we spoke that the Scorpions and Whitesnake are going to be in Auckland. They're going to be doing a few dates in Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, but the really exciting one is the 27th. It's so exciting I can't even talk about it. 27th of February.
Yes.
It's a Thursday, and they'll be at Spark Arena in Auckland. And
wait for it.
We've got 2 free tickets to give away.
Lovely.
So if anyone is interested in going to see the Scorpions and Whitesnake in Auckland on the 27th of February, you need to get yourself to our website, cravepodcast.com, right now. Like, stop whatever you're doing.
That's right.
Go there right now.
Please.
And you will see a form to fill in to enter to win 2 absolutely free, no questions asked. You don't even have to talk to us. Just go and enjoy the concert. 2 free tickets to...
But it's only 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Whitesnake and the Scorpions. And that's, again, Thursday the 27th of February in Auckland at Spark Arena.
Very good. Well
absolutely.
Done. Good work.
Absolutely, yes. So that's what we've got coming up very shortly.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground, but it was our first show back after a little break. So
we had some catching up to do.
We had some catching up to do.
We did indeed.
But anyway, thank you very much for listening or watching. As Steve said, cravepodcast.com is the website for lots of good information and entertaining reading.
Yeah, and we'll have photos from Billy Idol this weekend in Auckland. We're going to have photos from that concert and a review for that one as well.
Cool.
On the website this weekend. So if you've got any comments, any thoughts, any feedback whatsoever, anything we've said.
You can agree with us or wholeheartedly disagree.
I can't imagine why. We have spoken. Definitively.
We have. You can email us to podcast@cravepodcast.com.
Indeed. Or you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're at Crave Podcast.
We are, and still have been. And we'll continue to be so.
I would hope so too.
So thank you. And until next time, I'm Simon Mercer.
I'm Steve McCabe.
That's what's been entertaining us this week.
It certainly is.